Well, I did it again. I spent more than my typical allotted 5 hours on a free-to-play game, and frankly, I don't regret it one bit. If you're unaware, I do written reviews, which you can find on my website, as well as my subreddit at r/mobilegamereviewers. On these platforms, BuriedBornes 1 is one of the few games that I gave a 10 out of 10. It had everything that dungeon crawling enthusiasts look for in a game and systems deep enough to keep you hooked for more time than any one mobile game should. Guess what? BuriedBornes 2 is more of the same with several quality of life improvements. That is not to say it's a simple game. 10 hours in and I easily have much more that I could learn, but the learning curve seems less steep and I don't see a reason to play the original when the sequel improves on so much. For those unacquainted with the game, BuriedBornes 2 is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you build your character and see how far you can take them. All of your favorite builds are here: the stealthy rogue, your spellcasting wizard, and my favorite, thorns. You have access to meta progression, such as acquiring the limbs of your characters when you die to help you on future runs. You could join unions, which provide you with currencies that help you unlock different classes and items that you can also use for future runs. You can go through different dungeons, which range from shorter 3-floor dungeons to much longer 20 floors. These runs can easily last hours. Taking on any one of the hundreds of enemies will give you XP, which, once you get to the end of the floor, can be used to level up skills on a pretty wide skill tree. The skill tree is also randomly generated, forcing you to play with the strengths of your character on any particular run. There are also several characters with passives that change the way you play, such as turning into a werewolf if encounters last long enough, or being able to take the form of your enemy. This is only scratching the surface of what the game has to offer. There are so many good things that I could say about the game, so I'll leave it to the most important things. First of all, it's clear what abilities do and how they synergize with each other. Text are clearly denoted as clickable, and doing so prompts a screen that will highlight what exactly is happening. The skill tree is a welcome experience, and I found more flexibility in what my characters wanted to be and the skills that I wanted them to use. The idea of limited skill usage is great and leads to some tense situations, especially when fighting enemies that drain it instead of your health. If your skill usage on all your skills reaches 0, you'll die automatically. I have lost more than my fair share of characters to petrify, which causes this to happen. There also seems to be much more rerolls for items available, which allows you to craft the perfect build and save up some currency for future rolls when you're ready to upgrade the stats. There are not too many negatives to say about the game. The learning curve is still there and it will take some getting used to. About 5 hours in and I learned that you can use currency from joining a union to actually purchase new characters. I was wondering how to do that for much longer than I would have liked. The game is still very obtuse with some of the navigation mechanics and it will take quite a bit to get used to. Another thing is that it felt like it took much longer to unlock characters. Part of that is that there might be more branching paths that you can update, but it just feels that way compared to the original. Premium currency seems like it can only be obtained through watching ads or from in-app purchases, so that's something you have to be aware of if you are looking to unlock all the characters. All in all, I'd say that BuriedBornes 2 is a game that deserves to be in your library. It is as deep as you'll find in the dungeon crawling genre, and there are easily hundreds of hours to be had. For context, I look at several other people's profile, and the highest percentage complete that I saw was 5%. If that doesn't tell you how much there is to do, I don't know what will. I did a disservice to the original by only devoting a 1 minute to the review, and even a 1-hour review would only begin to scratch the surface of optimal builds, perks, items, and the like. Dungeon crawling enthusiasts rejoice. Here is a game that is worth your time and worth forking over some money to support developers who are still making great games.